The next video is the next installment for A Little Princess, and we're up to chapter 20. Sarah could not believe she was really in Mr. Randolph's house, but she wasn't safe yet. She made her way quietly down the big staircase with Hanuman following her. On the ground floor of the brownstone house, Sarah heard muffled voices coming from the study. Mr. Randolph was sitting by the fire, chatting with the wounded soldier. The younger man no longer had bandages on his eyes. He could see now. "It's just the not knowing that's so painful," Mr. Randolph said. "I can't let go of John until I find out what happened." "I'm sorry. I wish I could help you," the soldier replied. Sarah tiptoed past the open door of the study. Hanuman walked silently behind her. The two men did not notice. "You sound as though you experienced such a loss," Mr. Randolph continued. The wounded soldier nodded. "It's strange. Feeling your heart remember something your mind cannot." By now Sarah was at the front door. She reached for the knob just as Miss Minchin and the two policemen banged on the door from outside. Sarah dashed into the living room, closing the sliding doors behind her. "Who can that be at this hour?" Mr. Randolph wondered. Ram Dass left the study to go and answer the door. "I'm sorry to bother you, but a child from the school has escaped into your house," Miss Minchin told Ram Dass. "Ram Dass, what is going on here?" Mr. Randolph asked as he wheeled his chair into the front hall. "There is a child hiding in this house unlawfully," Miss Minchin replied for him. "What?" Mr. Randolph exclaimed. The policeman then took charge. One policeman searched the upstairs while the other made straight for the living room door. Sarah heard the policeman's heavy footsteps approaching. Quickly she opened another set of sliding doors that connected the living room with the study. If Sarah had had time, and if she had not been so scared, she would have marveled at what a wonderful house this was. Suddenly a bolt of lightning came down and struck the house, leaving it in complete darkness. "What now?" Mr. Randolph exclaimed. "Ram Dass, bring some candles." As the policeman entered the living room, Sarah tiptoed into the study. The wounded soldier was sitting there in the shadows. He heard Sarah come in, but he could not see her. "Who's there?" he called out. Sarah had not been expecting anyone to be in the study. She was so scared she fell to the floor and began to cry. "I won't hurt you," the wounded soldier said as he got up and walked towards Sarah. "Won't you tell me your name?" The room was so dark Sarah couldn't see the soldier's face. "Sarah," she answered with a slight whimper in her voice. "Sarah," the wounded soldier repeated. "That's such a pretty name," and he stepped into the light cast by the fire in the fireplace. For the first time Sarah saw the soldier's face. She stared and stared as if she was looking at a ghost. Slowly she got up off the floor. "Daddy?" she said. What did you say?" Captain Crewe murmured. Sarah threw her arms around his legs and hugged him. "Daddy," she repeated. "Daddy, it's me. It's Sarah." Captain Crewe looked bewildered. He knelt in front of the little girl. "Sarah, do you know me?" he asked. "Oh God, Daddy, don't you remember me?" Sarah sounded heartbroken. She heard the sound of footsteps and voices outside the room. "Daddy, please, you must know me," she sobbed. "It's Sarah, remember? Remember India and Maya and mean Clara Pydson?" Captain Crewe tried. "I can't seem to remember," he said, shaking his head. At that moment Miss Minchin and the policeman burst into the room. Mr. Randolph wheeled himself in, followed by Ram Dass. "Sarah!" Miss Minchin exclaimed. "Daddy, please," Sarah pleaded. Miss Minchin turned and gazed at the wounded soldier. She recognized Captain Crewe at once, and she went very pale. "Do you know this man?" Mr. Randolph asked Sarah. "Daddy, tell them." Miss Minchin noticed Captain Crewe's blank look. Without hesitation, she turned to the police. "This child has no father," she announced. "Take her away." "No, no," Sarah sobbed. Captain Crewe looked on helplessly as the police began to drag Sarah out of the room. Ram Dass was watching Captain Crewe's face intently. Then, very slowly, he began to hum the Indian folk song. "Daddy, do you hear that? It's the song," Sarah said, struggling to break free. She too began to sing the words to the song while the police were pulling her out of the room, and Miss Minchin and Mr. Randolph followed. Ram Dass stayed where he was, humming softly. His eyes never left the captain's face. All at once Captain Crewe began singing the last part of the song to himself. The words came flooding back to him, and with them so did his memory. "Sarah," he called. He remembered. And that ends that installment for A Little Princess.